Well, the sad saga of California's high-speed rail boondoggle just got sadder as Joe Biden reverses Trump administration policy and restores $929 million. That's federal tax money coming from you and me and our progeny, because of course they're highly in debt, going back to California for its massive waste of resources called high-speed rail. Welcome, my friends, to the super train. Hi everyone, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC-TV, and you MRC-TV readers and viewers probably recall that I twice have reported on this California high-speed rail project, a plan that, according to politicians ranging from former Governor Jerry Moonbeam Brown to current lockdown meister Gavin Newsom, they said that it would connect Southern California to lovely northern San Francisco and Oakland. In 2018, I noted how in just 2 years, cost estimates had risen more than $13 billion to $77.9 billion and could rise to $98.1 billion for a project that might set a few trains on the run on those rails by 2029. And I discussed the fact that in 2017, the Democrat-led California Assembly raised income taxes, claiming in part that the money was needed for high-speed rail. And of course, I also noted that Brown signed a bill that increased gas taxes and vehicle fees by 5.2, you got it, billion with a B, Dr. Evil, annually. And I reported that Republican California State Assembly member Melissa Melendez revealed nearly 30% of that tax cash was not used on roads and bridges. Some was spent on university projects, some was spent for felon job training, and some for parks, to name just a few extravagances. In 2019, I reported that current Governor Gavin "Slick" Newsom seemed more than a wee bit out of sorts because President Trump had ordered the Federal Railroad Administration to shut the funding down. In a great eruption of righteous indignation, Newsom had claimed, quote, "This is California's money appropriated by Congress," end quote. Never bothering to note that just because Congress appropriates cash, it doesn't mean it's yours, and never bothering to note that the feds already had spilled 2.5, yes, billion with a B, dollars into the sinkhole of California's rail project. Now, Reason's Scott Shackford reports that choo-choo-chaboogie Joe Biden is restoring the federal subsidy as part of his plan to turn trillions of dollars into, yes, you got it, rail travel investment. Quote, Trump used the terrible state of the rail project, years behind schedule, billions over budget, and without a realistic plan for actually connecting Los Angeles and San Francisco, as a reason to shut the funding down. His feud with California political leadership certainly played a role in the decision, but the reality is that the entire train project has been an expensive disaster that has lined a bunch of contractors and consultants' pockets. Of course, Newsom opposed Trump's move, took it to court, and with the change in administrations, the gravy train is moving once again. Gravy for politicians and their friends, of course. Quote, California sued the Trump administration to try to get the money back. Yesterday's, June 10th, announcement is the result of a settlement agreement between California and the Biden administration to restore the grant. End quote. Of course the Biden administration settled. They never would have fought what Biden clearly loves, political glad-handing and, well, giant toy trains. As Shackford notes, quote, at this point, California's bullet train is estimated to cost somewhere between $69 and $100 billion. And California voters only initially authorized a $10 billion bond for the program. Cap and trade auctions, in which companies purchase pollution credits, have not been bringing in nearly as much revenue for the project as had been hoped. California will likely be going to the feds, hat in hand, looking for even more grants to pay for the project to continue. And here's why this current Biden transfer of wealth to the rail project and all government rail projects are wrong. First, as noted, it's a transfer of wealth, which is morally and ethically unconscionable and has ramifications inextricably linked to economics. The only way something can be determined to have value is if people voluntarily spend their own money on it. If politicians like Biden and Newsom want to open up their sizable wallets and start their own rail services, asking riders to pay their own fares sans subsidies from other taxpayers, they're free to do so. Now, ideally, they would compete against a road system that also was privatized, and we could actually see what worked best. But to mandate through government that others pay for what one thinks is a good idea, well, that's the height of arrogance and conceit, and it prevents free choice from showing what people in the market actually value. Second, can any one of these political blowhards cite an enumerated power in the U.S. Constitution that allows for a federal railroad administration to exist? They'll search forever because it doesn't exist in the Constitution. They swear oaths to abide by that document. It sure is strange the way that the Constitution hasn't stopped them from claiming more and more power to play favorites, take land, and crush our rights. And third, this lack of constitutionality actually is tied back to the political economic problems. Even something many Americans mistakenly celebrate, the Transcontinental Railroad, was not only one of the world's biggest boondoggles of the 19th century, it wasn't sanctioned by any provision of the Constitution. It was years overdue, deep, deep, deep in the red. It zigzagged through all sorts of politically favored regions so that politicians could buy land and sell it to the government, which Abraham Lincoln did, and it was beaten by a private cross-country rail line built by the Great Northern Rail Company. As I reported in 2019, writers such as Burton Folsom and Tom DiLorenzo have noted on the federal transcontinental scheme, contractors laid rails on permafrost, knowing the foundations would move and then double billed when they had to do repairs. There never was a government rail or subway system that has ever turned a profit in all of human history. So, folks like Joe Biden and Gavin Newsom are economically, constitutionally, and morally wrong to tell you that you have to pay for a California rail boondoggle. But they're wrong to tell you to pay for any rail program. History, economics, and ethics determine that we recognize this important fact, and they demand that we pass it on. I hope you will. Hey, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Remember, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit like and make sure you're subscribed. If you're watching on Rumble, we salute you. Thanks for coming over to this fantastic new hosting site. We'll see you in Facebook. We'll see you at MRCTV.org. We'll see you on Instagram and on TikTok, and we'll see you on Twitter as well. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.